Don't close this video, don't minimize the screen, don't switch tabs, because you won't get a second chance like this. And even if your rational mind tries to convince you that this is just another video, there is something inside you that already recognizes that this moment is unlike anything you have ever experienced. You call yourself what you call yourself. You are where you are. But this is no accident. Someone has been carrying such deep pain lately that they have begun to believe that their prayers are going nowhere, that waiting for miracles is naive, that divine silence is confirmation of abandonment. But listen with your heart completely open. You have not been forgotten. And I'm not just saying this to comfort you. I'm speaking of a spiritual truth that has been sealed with fire in the invisible world that surrounds us. At this very moment, Archangel Michael has descended from heaven for you. I am not saying this as a figure of speech or a beautiful metaphor. I am saying it because the spiritual realm is in full motion, and you, yes, you who are watching now, have been called by name amid the chaos that has taken over your life. Do you really believe it was a coincidence that you woke up with that strange feeling in your chest? Is this restlessness that appears just when everything should be peaceful a coincidence? No, it is an alarm from the soul, a silent cry that only the chosen ones can understand. Archangel Michael is waging a fierce spiritual war, and not for just any reason. He is fighting for you, for your dreams that have been buried, for the promises you gave up believing in when disappointments piled up. There are dark forces that have been unleashed specifically to attack promised destinies, and yours is among the most persecuted. Why? Because you carry a unique spiritual mark. Because when you were a child, you had experiences you couldn't explain to anyone. Because you always felt things that other people didn't understand. And even when they mocked you, something deep in your soul knew that you had always been accompanied by something greater. Now pay attention. There are only 8 minutes left. I'm not saying this to create suspense. I'm saying it because a spiritual cycle is coming to an end. And if you don't wake up now, you could be stuck forever in the same patterns of pain, betrayal, scarcity, and abandonment. Does this sound familiar? It's because the enemy of your soul doesn't want you to remember who you really are, but heaven hasn't given up on you. In fact, it's calling your name right now. Look around you. Have you noticed how things have been breaking without explanation? How doors that were open have started to close? Why do you feel exhausted even though you slept all night? Why is it that whenever you are about to achieve something important, everything falls apart? Listen carefully. There are forces you cannot see, but they study you, they know you. They have been watching you since you were born, and they know you are close to discovering a spiritual key that can set you free once and for all. That is why they attack before every advance. That is why you feel this nameless melancholy. That's why it's so hard to trust, to love, to dream again. Because there is an invisible war, and you are at its epicenter. But here is the truth that no one has had the courage to tell you. You are not the victim in this story, you are the threat. And that is exactly why Miguel fights, because what you carry does not belong only to you. It is the legacy of your entire lineage. It is a promise that spans generations. And when you awaken, your entire family will awaken with you. Now I need you to listen carefully. What I am about to reveal is not for just anyone. It is exclusively for those who have cried without anyone knowing, for those who have thought about giving up more than once, but are still here. For those who felt that God had forgotten them, but deep down still believe that something extraordinary is going to happen. If you are that person, then get ready, because this is not just a video, it is a prophetic call. And if you have come this far, it is because Michael has put you on the heavenly radar. He never stops interceding for you, and your prayers are breaking invisible pacts, ancient chains, inherited traumas. Don't stop this video because in the next few minutes you will understand why you were abandoned, why you were betrayed, why your family fell apart, why you never fit in anywhere. And most importantly, why despite all this you are still standing. Remember, there are 8 minutes left, and if you decide to stay, you will receive a word that will transform your atmosphere forever. Have you ever felt that something is watching you as you try to fall asleep? Have you ever woken up with your heart racing, with no logical explanation? Have you ever walked through familiar places and suddenly felt a chill run down your spine, without anything around you having changed? This is not anxiety, it is not fatigue, it is not coincidence. It is spiritual warfare, and not just any battle, but one that is waged between invisible forces and your purpose in life. Because what rests upon you is not ordinary. It is a sacred burden. It is ancestral fire. And this is what the adversaries of the heavenly kingdom detect from afar. When you were younger, there were times when you were seconds away from losing your life. Accidents avoided by millimeters, decisions made at the last moment, people who appeared out of nowhere like angels in disguise, only to rescue you and then mysteriously disappear. Do you remember? All of this was part of the divine plan. Heaven never stopped protecting you for a single day, even when you didn't realize it. But now the protection has turned into high alert, because times have accelerated and darkness has intensified its attacks in a brutal way. Archangel Michael knows this reality, and that is why he has come down personally. Yes, he has come down. Because you, without realizing it, activated the heavenly cry. How? With your tears, with those moments when you cried without understanding why, with those early mornings talking to yourself, waiting for God to answer, even though you knew no one else was listening, with all the times you defended your faith even when everything screamed at you to abandon it. Those moments were not ignored. Each tear became a sword that Michael wielded. Each "I don't understand, but I trust" became a shield in the war. And while you felt alone, he was on his knees in the heavens fighting for you, because you are different. You always have been. No matter how hard you try to fit in, something inside you whispers that you don't completely belong in this world. And that's not a punishment, it's a calling. But beware, those who carry this kind of calling also face a kind of war that others could not endure. Have you noticed how your relationships fall apart for no apparent reason? How people constantly misinterpret you? How it seems that just when everything is going well, something throws you off balance? You are not cursed, you are not being punished, you are being prepared. The enemy does not attack what it does not fear. And if you are under intense attack, it is because your life was designed to set others free, to break chains, to transform entire generations. Before continuing with this powerful revelation, write this mantra in the comments. My energy is sacred and no evil has power over me. This will show the universe that you recognize your value and no longer accept being affected by destructive energies. But here is the extraordinary news. You are not alone in this battle. At this very moment, there are angels mobilized by your prayers. There are armies positioned in the places where you will walk tomorrow. There are paths opening up even as you doubt whether to continue or not. And Archangel Michael has not ceased to intercede. I see him, I hear him. He is on his knees with his flaming sword pronouncing your name. He does not pray for multitudes, he prays individually. And today is your turn. That is why the spiritual attack. That is why the mental confusion. That is why the unexpected betrayals. Because the closer your revelation, the more violent the assault of darkness. And you know what impresses me deeply? That you remain here. You could have given up long ago. You could have closed this video minutes ago. But you didn't because something inexplicable inside you is screaming that there is a truth here, a key, a word. And that word is coming. Doors that you didn't even know existed have been closed to you. You knocked and no one answered. You loved and were betrayed. You gave your all and the only response was deafening silence. And do you know what caused the most pain? It wasn't the rejection itself. It wasn't the loss. It wasn't the abandonment. What hurt the most was that during all of this, God seemed completely absent. Where are you? You asked over and over again. Why are you allowing this to happen? Why me? And while you waited for an answer, everything around you fell apart. Relationship after relationship, opportunity after opportunity. And you, without understanding, began to think that there was something fundamentally wrong with you. But listen carefully, nothing you experienced was in vain. It wasn't punishment, it was divine protection. It wasn't abandonment, it was redirection. It wasn't silence, it was meticulous preparation. God never abandoned you. And even if you didn't see angels, even if you didn't hear audible voices, even if the answers didn't come when you wanted them to, He was there. Every lonely night, every tear shed, every time you fell asleep without even the strength to pray, He was watching over you. Remember that time someone left your life without explanation? Or when you were excluded from an environment that seemed perfect for you? Or that business that failed at the last minute? It wasn't chance, it was supernatural divine protection. Sometimes God allows things to break so that you don't break. Sometimes He removes what you love to give you what you really need. Sometimes He allows loss to reveal your true purpose. And here's the truth that no one has had the courage to tell you. While you thought God was silent, the whole sky was being rebuilt in your favor. Because there were hidden pacts that needed to be broken, relationships that only served to drain your vital energy, paths that would lead you away from your destiny. And if God hadn't intervened drastically, you would never have gotten out of those traps. But it wasn't easy, because God doesn't always intervene with spectacular miracles. Sometimes His way of acting is to close a door in your face. Yes, that was His way of saving you. Now write in the comments, where there is light, no shadow remains. This is your invisible shield against everything that has tried to stop you until today. Take a deep breath, because the next revelation will move you deeply. And know this, He cried with you. He was there when you broke down, when you cried in the shower, when no one understood you, when you lay down feeling completely empty. He was there, and even though you didn't see Him, Michael was there too. Watching your back, covering your room, blocking attacks you didn't even know existed. Because while you slept, wars were being fought on your behalf. This is not abstract theory, it is spiritual reality. What you carry in your spirit is already recognized in the invisible world. That is why the constant attacks, the intense trials, the deep pain, because what you are going to release is not small. It is something that will break entire generations of darkness. And the most powerful thing of all is that you are not yet fully aware of it. But it has already begun. Now look at everything with renewed eyes. The betrayal was a spiritual promotion. The loss was a divine sign. The pain was a warning from heaven. And all of this has led you here, to this moment, to this specific message. Can you feel it? Something is changing in your spiritual atmosphere. Your spirit is aligning with the original plan. Your mind is beginning to understand hidden truths. Your heart is opening up to possibilities that once seemed impossible. This is called spiritual awakening. And when that happens, there is no going back to the way things were before. The enemy knows this very well. That is why he has intensified his attacks recently. That is why you have had strange nightmares. That is why you woke up with inexplicable fear. Because your name was mentioned in the heavenly courts, and that triggers automatic opposition from the darkness. But rest assured, the same thing that allows the trial is what strengthens you to get through it. You were not weak, you were human, and that does not disappoint God. In fact, He loves your humanity because through it, He can manifest His supernatural power. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to be available. So now I ask you directly, are you ready to see your past with completely new eyes? To understand that every no was a yes in disguise, that every fall was a school of preparation. Because if you understand this deeply, you will be able to enter the new time without resentment, without paralyzing fears, and without chains from the past. And I will reveal something else to you. Archangel Michael was not sent by mistake. He was assigned to your story from the first day of your life. And now that you are awakening, his presence intensifies exponentially. You will begin to feel his presence in your dreams, in your deepest thoughts, in your fiercest internal battles. He will be present not to replace your faith, but to protect you while you decide to believe again. Because yes, The time has come to believe again, even if everything around you screams that it is not worth it, even if you are afraid to trust again, even if you feel that you have no strength left. Today, heaven offers you a completely new opportunity, and you are not receiving it by chance. You are here because Michael asked for it personally. And when a heavenly warrior intercedes for you, the entire kingdom mobilizes. There is something that the soul recognizes even before the mind can process it. It is like a whisper that accompanies you constantly, a certainty without concrete proof, a restlessness that you cannot erase. And if you are watching this now, it is not because you consciously chose to. It is because heaven has drawn you here. Even if you think you clicked out of curiosity, even if you think it was a random suggestion from the algorithm, it wasn't. The heavenly cry reached you, not with your physical ears, but with your spirit. A cry that has been ringing at the doors of your soul for days, weeks, possibly years. Sometimes it appears as inexplicable sadness, sometimes as deep nostalgia, other times as nameless anxiety, but it is always the same thing, a sign that heaven is about to intervene dramatically. You have dreamed things that later came true. You have felt presences when you were completely alone. You have gotten goosebumps for no apparent reason when listening to a specific song, reading a particular word, or looking at the sky at a certain moment. This is not a fantasy of your imagination. You are not losing your sanity. You are awakening spiritually. And when a soul awakens, the entire sky is moved and responds. Now I want you to stop for a moment. Close your eyes, listen to your breathing, and be completely silent. Can you feel it? That inner turmoil, that warmth in your chest, that feeling that something monumental is about to happen. It is the Holy Spirit moving within you. And you don't have to be religious to experience this. You just have to be willing, because the heavenly cry makes no distinction between people. It calls to everyone, but only a few respond with an open heart. You will respond. Look at your life with new eyes, examine your deepest wounds, analyze your entire history. Do you really believe that all of this was without purpose? That all this pain was random? That all those almosts that didn't happen were mere coincidences? It wasn't chance, it was divine purpose, it was meticulous preparation. Because God doesn't want you half-ready, He wants you completely ready, whole, with scars, yes, but with crystal clear vision. And if you are here right now, it's because you are closer than ever. Before continuing, write in the comments, I am guided, protected, and strengthened by angels of light. From this point forward, nothing will be the same, because you are activating heavenly forces in your life. Now listen carefully. There is something within you that only you can release into the world. A unique word, a specific talent, a particular story, a powerful testimony. And heaven is crying out for this manifestation, not so that you may become famous, not so that you may receive applause, but because there are souls who are trapped, waiting for your obedience. You cannot imagine how many people you can free just with your voice, with your yes, with your testimony, with your courageous step of faith. And that is exactly why you have been so spiritually attacked. Because if you wake up completely, you will wake others up. If you heal completely, others will also be healed. If you break the cycle of pain, your entire lineage will change forever. So answer honestly, will you remain silent? I ask you from the bottom of my heart. Write in the comments if you have ever felt that God spoke to you in a supernatural way. Maybe it was a vivid dream, a phrase that stuck with you, an inexplicable encounter. Something you couldn't explain rationally, but you knew deep down that it came from heaven. Share it, because that story that was small to you may be the confirmation that someone else is desperately waiting for right now. We are not playing at believing here. We are waging a real spiritual war with our words. Every testimony breaks a specific lie. Every truth told dissolves a doubt. Every confession of faith opens a door in the spiritual realm. And when you write, you are sealing in the natural world what heaven has already decreed in the unseen. Do it right now. Don't wait any longer. Don't procrastinate. The heavenly cry does not stop. Michael does not rest for a second. The heavens are completely open, and you are at the epicenter of this sacred moment. Don't pause. Don't look at the clock. Don't say, "I'll come back later." Because if you leave now, you may miss the word that has been looking for you for years. This is a real spiritual emergency. And yes, it sounds dramatic, but that's because it really is. Something extraordinary is going to happen, not in weeks, not in months, in days, hours, minutes. And if you are not aligned with what heaven is declaring right now, you may miss the exact timing of your release. I know that something inside you already suspects this. That's why you're restless. That's why there's tension in the air around you. That's why you feel that something monumental is about to happen, but you can't quite put your finger on it. It's because the spiritual is already overflowing into the physical, and there is no turning back. There are things that have been held back in your life for years. Unfulfilled promises, answers that never came, unanswered calls, unfulfilled relationships, unhealed wounds. And all of this is spinning around you as if something invisible is blocking it just before it reaches you. Has everything ever been about to work out and then suddenly fall apart? Have you ever been called about something great and then it mysteriously disappeared? Have you ever felt deep peace and then, for no apparent reason, it vanished? This is intense spiritual opposition, and what is at stake is greater than you can imagine. So great that Archangel Michael has been interceding for you day and night without rest, because the enemy has detected that you are closer than ever to breaking the cycle that has imprisoned your family for generations. And when you finally break free, all those who come after you will also be automatically freed. That is why this urgent warning is being given, because there are only 8 spiritual minutes left, which are not natural minutes, meaning that time in heaven is passing more quickly than here on earth. And if you do not wake up now, you may lose what is already legally yours. Now write in the comments, "The light that guides me is stronger than any darkness." This statement seals your courage, your faith, and your spiritual rebirth. Stay with me because what comes next is revealing. What will happen if you ignore this message? I don't know for sure. I don't want to know because I didn't come here to scare you. I came to tell you the absolute truth. Your moment is now. You need to make a definitive decision. Will you continue watching this video as if it were just another one? Or will you understand that this is your prophetic scene? Because yes, God has written a divine script for your life. And this moment, this specific message, is one of your most important lines. And if you respond appropriately, everything can change completely. Now listen to this very carefully. There is a key that I am going to give you, a powerful revelation, a phrase that will make you understand everything you have experienced from childhood to today. A word that will fit all the pieces of your life's puzzle together. But this key cannot be given to just anyone. Only to those who remain until the end, to those who do not run away when the truth is uncomfortable, to those who, even in fear, still say, "I am here, Lord, speak, your servant is listening." Yes, that's you. So stand firm, don't move, because this key will not only open a giant door, it will close all the doors the enemy used to invade your life. You have 8 minutes. 8 minutes to remain in unshakable faith. 8 minutes to declare to heaven, "I want to understand my purpose completely." 8 minutes to stand in the spiritual gap, to remain steadfast even if the ground shakes beneath your feet. This is not about fleeting emotion, it is about obedience to the call. And if you obey with your heart, revelation will come with power. Heaven is watching closely, Michael is praying intensely. The Spirit is speaking clearly, and you are about to receive the key that will transform everything. Now more than ever, you cannot back down even an inch. You are on a razor's edge, on the invisible line between the before and after of everything. Everything you have experienced, everything you have cried, everything you have lost, was to get to this exact point in history. But now comes the most delicate part. Don't sabotage your own breakthrough moment. Do you know how many times you have been close to something great and let it go out of fear? Do you know how many doors have opened and you, thinking you weren't worthy enough, didn't walk through them, it wasn't because you were incapable. It was because you hadn't yet awakened to this fundamental truth. What you carry spiritually is greater than your pain. And today, heaven wants to give you precise instructions, not vague suggestions, not abstract ideas, but practical and direct instructions so that you don't lose what is already yours by spiritual right. And the first instruction is this: stop running away for good. Stop running every time something starts to disturb your comfort zone. Stop closing your heart every time you feel something supernatural. Stop thinking that everything good is too much for you. Nothing is excessive when you were created by a God without limitations. The second instruction: open your heart completely. Yes, even if it is broken, even if it is full of doubts, even if it has deep scars, God is not looking for perfect hearts. He is looking for hearts that are available, and yours, despite being hurt, still beats with genuine faith. Don't extinguish it now. Don't cool it down. Don't fill it with rationality to protect it, because the moment you are living is not for logical understanding, it is for complete trust. Third instruction: listen until the very end, because the key is close, very close, but it cannot be given to those who are easily distracted, to those who want to receive without going through the process, to those who demand answers but are not willing to remain faithful. You are not like that. I know this because you are still here. And that faithfulness, that ability to remain even when it hurts, is your greatest spiritual power. Fourth instruction: trust the instructions you will receive. What you will hear from now on will not be logically understandable, because God does not move only with logic. He moves with eternal purpose. And if He asks you to forgive someone who has never asked for forgiveness, obey. If He asks you to let go of something that took years to achieve, obey. Because every instruction, no matter how absurd it may seem on the surface, brings you closer to the fulfillment of your purpose. Before receiving the final revelation, write in the comments, "I am protected by invisible forces working on my behalf." This opens the way for angels to work even more intensely in your life. And the fifth instruction: prepare to receive a key, a word that will transform the way you see your battles, a revelation that will explain why you cried so much, a vision that will place you on a completely new spiritual level. But this key is only given to those who are prepared to hold it with responsibility. And you are almost completely ready. Now take a deep breath. Look up at the sky for a few seconds and repeat mentally, "I am ready. I will not run away. I will not let go. I will not hide." This war is not against you. It is for you. And Archangel Michael has already placed the key in your path. You were told that crying was a sign of weakness. You were taught to swallow your tears, to be strong, to show no emotion. If so, I am deeply sorry. Because what no one explained to you is that your tears have eternal weight. Yes, eternal. There is not a single tear that has fallen from you without being recorded in the heavens. Not one, from the quietest to the most desperate, from the one you held back in public to the one that broke you completely in the solitude of your room. God saw them all. And not only did He see them, He collected them, saved them, multiplied them. In the invisible world, your tears are declarations of war, cries that the enemy deeply fears. They are sincere offerings that activate divine movements. Have you noticed that after your most intense crying spells, things always happened? Maybe an unexpected phone call, maybe an inexplicable peace, maybe a direction you didn't expect. It wasn't a coincidence. It was the direct result of those tears. Because every sincere tear that is released from the bottom of your soul is answered by heaven with supernatural power. Examine your history carefully. Remember that time when you cried every night without anyone knowing? When you wondered why God allowed so much pain? When you felt your soul shatter into 1,000 pieces? What you didn't see was what heaven did with it. While you cried, Archangel Michael was liberating spiritual territories. While you felt fragile, He was breaking generational curses. While you cried out in silence, He was moving forward in time to protect what you had not yet experienced. Your tears were not losses, they were seeds planted. And now the harvest is coming. But you must understand this. The battle was so intense because what is coming will be too. And that is why the enemy tried to turn your sensitivity into shame. He wanted you to hide your pain, to think that crying was a failure, but that was a pure lie. You did not cry out of weakness, you cried out of love, you cried out of compassion. You cried out of burdens that others do not even feel. And that is a spiritual gift. Now lift up your eyes, feel your breath, and declare with your soul completely open. My tears were weapons, and today heaven returns to me, transformed everything I cried. You are a warrior of light, and your journey has only just begun.